Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello the students of BBA second year of management department. Today I am going to discuss on business communication. You know that the course is in English. There is no chance to write in a Bengali form. So you have to prepare yourselves by this way. This is Nasrul Al Mamun, lecturer, Department of Management, Government Ispahani College is with you. Today our topics of discussions are what is business communication, communication process, types of business communication. First of all, we are going to learn what is business communication. Communication, simply the act of transferring information, is called communication. We know that communication is compared with the lifeblood of the organization. Effective communication is when the message conveyed by the sender is understood by the receiver in exactly the same way as it was intended. The communication word derived from the Latin word communis. That means share any information. Here there are several definitions. The process of transferring information from one person to another outside one person to another within and outside the business environment is termed as business communication. Look at the another definition. Business communication is exchanging business related different views, ideas and news within the related parties. When the communication occurs between either two or more than two business people for the purpose of effective organization and administration of business, then it is considered of business communication. A business success basically depends on effective communication. If any hamper occurs during the communication, then organization suffers much more. So business communication is very much essential for any organization. Dear students, now we are going to learn about communication process. Look at the slide. Communication process. First of all, you have to learn what is process. Process means a series of action. A series of action is called process. In a communication process, there are 7 elements. Look at here. There are 7 elements. Sender, encoding, message, communication channel, decoding, receiver, feedback. The communication is a dynamic process that begins with the conceptualizing of ideas by the sender, who then transmit the message through a channel to the receiver, who in turn gives the feedback in the form of some message or signal within the given time frame. Thus these 7 elements occur in a communication process. Dear students, look at the picture. This is a communication process. Here sender transmit information to receiver through a channel, and here sender transmit information, sender encoding, message, decoding, and receiver, and here there is feedback and noise. And one by one I am discussing about this. Sender who sends message is called sender. Sender, first of all, encoding. The encoding is this is the process of transferring information into a form that can be correctly understood by the other end. Is called encoding. That means the message the sender wants to send must be understood by the receiver, and This information sender encode in that form. And message means is the information that you want to communicate. Message is the information that someone want to communicate. Next, decoding. Decoding uh, means the uh, transfer of information that sender sent to the receiver in a form that could be understood by the receiver. And this is simply and here is a receiver who received the message. Noise means the barriers. When someone send message, there may occur any problem. It is called the noise. And feedback, the reply of the receiver to the sender, is called the feedback. And I want to discuss the communication process in a details in the next slide. Here, sender. Please look at, dear students, look at the slide. Sender. The sender or the communicator is the person who initiates the conversation and has conceptualized the idea that he intends to convey it to others. Encoding. The sender begins with the encoding process, wherein he uses certain words or non-verbal methods such as symbols, signs, body gesture, etc. to translate the information into a message. The sender's knowledge, skills, perception, background, competencies, etc. has a great impact on the success of the message. And message, I said to you previous that message, once the encoding is finished, the sender gets the message that he intends to convey. The message can be written, oral, symbolic, or non-verbal, such as body gesture, silence, signs, sounds, etc., or any other signal that triggers the response of a receiver. Next, communication channel. Communication channel, the path. Channel means the path through which information flows. That means through which information flows is called the channel. Messages are conveyed through channels. There may be the verbal communication. The channels of verbal communications are face-to-face, telephone, video conferencing, etc. And the channels of written communication, letters, memos, reports, etc., are the written communication channels. And here we in the slide, the sender chooses the medium through which he wants to convey his message to the recipient. It must be selected carefully in order to make the message effective and correctly interpreted by the recipient. The choice of medium depends on the interpersonal relationship between the sender and the receiver, and also on the urgency of the message being sent. Receiver, who received the message. The receiver is the person for whom the message is intended to or triggered. Here he tries to comprehend it in the best possible manner such that the communication objective is attained. And decoding, here the receiver interprets the sender's message and tries to understand it in the best possible manner. An effective communication occurs only if the receiver understands the message in exactly the same way as it was intended by the sender. And last of all, feedback. The feedback is the final step of the process that ensures the receiver has received the message and interpreted it correctly as it was intended by the sender. It increases the effectiveness of the communication as it permits the sender to know the efficiency of the message. These are the process and of the communication process. These 7 steps are performed in a communication process, and a successful communication occurred by maintaining this process. And now we are going to another topics. types of business communication. There are several types of business communication. Look at the chart, dear student, look at the chart. Communication can be classified on the based of parties, based on formality, based on media, and others. Based on parties, there are two types of communication: internal communication and external communication. Internal communication means a communication which occurs inside the organization is called internal communication. When any communication occurs, the employees inside the organization is called the internal communication. External communication. External communication is called when a communication occurred among the persons of different organizations and or any outside person. That means when employees of two different organizations communicate with each other is called the external communication. Internal communication there can be classified into two parts: vertical communication and horizontal communication. Vertical communication when any message conveyed uh, from superiors to subordinate or subordinates to superior is called vertical communication. And horizontal communication, when any information transferred among the same levels of employees is called the horizontal communication. Vertical communication can be classified into three parts: downward communication, upward communication, and cross or diagonal communication. Downward communication, when information transfer or when information passes from superior to inferiors, superior to the subordinates, then it is called the downward communication. And any orders given by the manager or the CEO to the subordinates, then it occurred downward communication. Upward communication, when any information or message uh, passes from subordinates to the superiors is called the upward communication. When any foreman or any workers suggest or request any request to the manager or CEO or the superior person, then it is called the upward communication. Cross or diagonal communication, when a communication occurs among the personnel of two different departments in the various levels, then it is called the cross or diagonal communication. And based on formality, there are two types of communication: formal communication and informal communication. Formal communication Formal communication and informal communication. Formal communication refers to the exchange of information officially. When any communication occurred in a predetermined predetermined schedule or predetermined decision, then it is called the formal communication. That means when a communication officially occurred is called formal communication. Informal communication informal communication means the casual or unofficial form of communication that can be occurred in any time and in any manner. It is called the informal communication. Suddenly, if we meet with the manager, if someone suddenly when a person or any employees meet with the manager or any other person, then it is called the informal communication. Based on media, there are three types of communication: written communication, oral or verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Written communication. Written communication means when any communication uh, when communication occurred in a written form is called written communication. Written communication means letters, reports, memos, etc. Written communication. Oral or verbal communication. Communication using any words is called oral or verbal communication. Oral communication, that means speaking, meetings, video conferencing. These are the oral verbal communication that occurs in orally. Non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication. In a non-verbal communication, there is no uses of words, and it can express in a body language or gesture or some other ways. It's called non-verbal communication. Others, there are mass communication, when any information conveyed for a large group of people is called the mass communication. Personal communication, when personal information is sent, is called personal communication. Interpersonal communication, when two friends or two persons communicate for their share their feelings, ideas, is called the interpersonal communication. Dear students, look at another picture. Types of non-verbal communication. Here there are some non-verbal communication: posture, body language, eye contact. Posture means a particular approach or attitude. It's called posture. Body language, eye contact, blinking. Blinking shut or opens the eyes quickly is called the blinking. Tone of voice, facial expression, smell, time, and personal presentation. Gesture. Gesture means a movement of parts of the body. Pitch of voice. Pitch of voice means the higher or lowness of a tone is called the pitch of voice. Etc. These are the non-verbal communication. Most of us uses non-verbal communication. Sometimes when we communicate in verbally or orally, sometimes we use non-verbal body language. Look at another picture. Here there are several facial expression: anger, joy, surprise, disgust, sadness, fear. Gestures, how we communicate with each other by gesturing. Thank you, dear students. That's all for today.